Welcome to another episode of the Roughly Related to Reselling podcast. My name is Perry Phillips. I go by Perry Flips on Instagram with a Z, Pothead Picker on X or Twitter, whatever you call it. Flips and Giggles is the eBay store and also the Whatnot name. And am I missing anything? I don't think so. Oh, Facebook. Yeah, Facebook. So Flips and Giggles on Facebook. And there's also a YouTube page, it's Roughly Related to Reselling podcast. That's where you can listen. And it's just audio only for now. But like I said, I have somebody who's supposed to help me get set up with the video soon. So anyway, another week in reselling. It's been an interesting week. I got a really, really good find this week. It might be my biggest find of my career. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. It's called a tease. That's a little tease for you. So yeah, I started my school, back in school. So yesterday was like a grind. I just kept pushing my schoolwork back. Every time I went to open it, I was so tired. Like last week was crazy busy. I have a feeling this week's going to be the same thing. So I'm going to try to get some of my schoolwork done today. I left my kid next door at my mom's, so I don't even know if I'm going to have time to finish this podcast. I'm hoping that they just don't realize that I haven't come back yet. But I was like, yeah, I should just do the podcast now, because if I can get this done in the morning, then like the rest of my day will be a lot easier, because I was going to do this in the afternoon when my kid is resting, but I have a feeling my kid's not going to rest. We're back in school, so I got to go pick my other kid up. My wife did it yesterday, so I didn't have to deal with it because I was doing fucking homework all day. And she said it was a shit show. It's going to be a shit show for a few days, and then everybody kind of figures it out. But, so we got to get there like early for that. It's going to be a long week. We're doing 2 whatnots this week, Thursday and Friday. The last whatnot we did was a complete fucking train wreck. Not like for any reason other than nobody really showed up. Like we only had 1 or 2 people at any time come into the stream. And it was not like they didn't stick around. So I was doing Beanie Boos. They're like, Beanie Babies. The company that made Beanie Babies made them. In like, the late 2000s, whatever, like on up to now, you see them everywhere. And nobody wants them because they're fucking everywhere. I actually did sell one of them. My buddy gave me a bunch of them, and I sold one for $50. So that was the rare one, Frost. But I was going to pull that one out for the auction, but like nobody came in. So I'm like, all right, like there's nobody. I could have advertised it, but then I'm like, I don't want to advertise this. And then, 2 people come in and they bid it up to $20, and then I lose out. So I'm like, fuck it. I'll just keep that one for eBay. And then nobody came in. Like nobody came. I kept saying, does anybody have any requests? I was holding them up. I was in front of the camera acting like a fucking idiot. Like it was ridiculous. Shucking and jiving. So like nobody fucking came in. It was just me and my wife. My wife was even like, if you've listened before or you've been in on the whatnot streams, my wife does not like, she says she doesn't like talking on there until until it gets going, and then she doesn't shut the fuck up. But she was even like, jumping in, like trying, like, tell us if you have requests, like, trying to get people interested, and they just did not. So like the one we did with the Starbucks mugs, I think we waited 5 minutes because I was just like, nobody's coming. Like nobody even came in 5 minutes in the Starbucks one. So that one was pretty bad. But this one, people were coming in and then they just weren't staying. And so I was already kind of like, I didn't really want to do a Beanie Boos one, but I was kind of bummed that we, wasted a whatnot stream on it. So I was like, fuck it, we'll just do 2 this week. And hopefully it's not a nightmare. I hope it doesn't turn out to be a huge fucking pain in my ass. And yeah, so Thursday night and Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So Thursday we're doing stuffed animals, like, plush, but they're like not, it's not Beanie Boos. So there's some vintage and some modern. There's like, I actually have a Super Mario that I sold last time without the tag. This one has the tag. So the last one sold, I think, for like $30. So that's going to be on there. That's starting at $1 too. So there's a bunch that are doing $1 starts. And then Friday, I'm going to do a Halloween stream. So that one's going to be more laid back. We're not going to, normally we do like rapid fire, like boom, 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 boom. We're trying to get through everything. On the Halloween one, I think it's just going to be like taking requests. We're going to be playing some fun Halloween music. I'll have some like Halloween decorations up. And then, yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna use the red light on my little light thing, so that'll be cool. So yeah, so if you're around, check those out this week. But yeah, man, it was a disaster. Nobody came in. I was like, I mean, I had a feeling it wasn't gonna be before the stream. I thought at least they would go for $1 each, at least. And somebody came in and they were like, "Do you do bundles?" And we were like, "Yeah, we'll bundle. Like, let us know which ones you want." And then they just left. I was like, "Oh, okay." And so yeah, it was just like a complete and utter disaster. But most people would be like, they'd hang it up after that one. Not me. I'm like, let's fucking double down and do 2 this week. Yeah, so now I'm doing schoolwork. So I had to do like, one of my classes is communication. And in communication, apparently we have to do like speeches. So like, we're going to have to do Zoom meetings and do speeches for everybody in your Zoom meetings, which whatever, you know what I mean? And that stuff doesn't really bother me, because it's like, everybody's got to do it. You're going to look worse if you like freeze up and panic and like are nervous. You're going to look like a fucking idiot. So I just always, I'm like, let's just fucking get it done. I'm definitely not going to be the most embarrassing one there. That's always what I shoot for. Just don't be the one that everybody talks about after. That's all you got to do. There's going to be one person that's going to be that person, and you just have to make sure it's not you. So yeah, we have to do like a Zoom meeting on Wednesday. I'm hoping that I don't have to talk, because we already did an introduction. We did like we had to do it, write out an introduction. Then we had to do a recorded introduction. If we have to do another goddamn introduction, I'm going to be like, how many fucking times do you guys need to know my name? We're not even going to see each other. We're going to be in this class for like 4 more weeks. It's a half class. It's not even a full semester. It's a half semester class. And they're like, it's very ridiculous. So it is what it is. But there was a lot of homework for that class. And she was like, this is a light week. So I'm kind of nervous that it's going to be even more ridiculous, because at first I was doing it, I was like, oh, this isn't that bad. It might not have been that bad. I might just have been taking my sweet time, because I just keep going back to like, why the fuck am I doing this? Why the fuck am I doing school again? I swear to God, if it was not free, I would not be fucking doing it. If they were like, you have to pay for this, I would be like, no, why the fuck? No, there's no fucking point. 90% of what I've learned so far is stuff I already know, which is fine. It's fine, like, but it's not. There's not been anything I've learned yet. So I'm hoping that like maybe I'll learn something. Like, and this includes last semester. It was pretty much all like, aside from like the technical terms, which I don't really need to know for a lot of what it was. Like, it was a lot of stuff that I knew. Majority. So that was like that took about like a huge chunk of the day yesterday. So I didn't get a ton of stuff done yesterday. I did like, man, I did get a lot of stuff done yesterday. It's I can't just sit around. I have to get shit done. I'm like I was because I'm so behind on my stuff, which used to overwhelm me. I used to get like crazy overwhelmed and like, just be like, fuck, I don't know what to do. But now it's easy. I mean, I've been doing it for long enough to where when I have a lot of stuff, I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, keep it coming, keep it coming. Um, and now fall, it's officially, I don't think it's officially fall for like 12, 13 more days or something like that. I think they said the 22nd is like officially the start of fall. But I there's still sales. So there was like still some yard sales this past weekend. There was there was a few like neighborhood ones. A couple of them I skipped because I had been driving around for a while. And we had we had something that we had to do that day. Oh, my kid had a birthday party to get to, so I had to like get back with the birthday gift. I had to pick it up from Target. And so we yeah, so wasn't a ton. There was a ton, but like wasn't. And then this weekend there's like a big neighborhood sale that's actually pretty cool. They have like vendors and not like vendors, but like food vendors. And then a lot of the people are like dealers. You can still find deals at places. Like some people do like storage cleanouts. So like you can still find, like I've gone there a couple years in a row and like I always bring a wagon and I fill my wagon. You know what I mean? So this year, I don't know. I might go early and deal with it. I'm gonna have my kids with me. I'm gonna end up going back to the big one, and I think I'm gonna like take my kids and just walk around because there's not shit else to do that day. So I think we're just gonna like walk and just they can spend some money. I don't have to like be crazy on yard sale mode. And yeah, but it's a huge neighborhood sale. I remember the first time I went there, I just like I didn't realize how like I just saw a neighborhood sale, whatever, and I pulled up, and like I got there just in time because there was a shitload of cars, and like you just start walking around, and there's so many fucking houses. But the problem is they've been doing it for so long that like again, there's a lot of people who are like now like flea market dealers that do it, and they like all set up together and um but like, yeah, I found like a Goonies board game there one time that I sold for like $100, and like there was, there was some stuff there that you can find. You just gotta kind of walk around and like, not go looking for video games because you're not gonna find video games anyway. But like going to look there for video games is even more pointless because these people have been doing it so long that none of them have video games anymore. Like I bought a bunch of comic books from a guy that I've probably shouldn't have bought, and like his prices were probably too high, but who knows. So that's going to be this weekend. I'm still I don't know, I still am undecided about what my game plan is going to be because there is a lot of people that try to piggyback onto that sale. So they just like will have a sale at their house elsewhere, not in that neighborhood, and those sales usually are pretty good because everybody's over at the big sale, and you can bop around to those other ones and get some good deals. So, and then I usually like swing in and stop at the big one on the way out, and then keep it moving. So, but yeah, it's been so then last week Friday I went to a yard sale. There was one yard sale, and it wasn't very well advertised, and like the one picture that they took, you could see like some Taylor Swift clothes. So I know that some of that stuff can go for some decent money. So I was like, there's no sales. I think my wife was off. No, I had the kids with me. So I was like, fuck it. We'll just take a ride over there. It's one sale and then we'll be done for the day. Because they weren't coming out this weekend at all with me. So I was like, I don't have to torture them this weekend. And because I try not to like force them to go to yard sales because a lot of times it's like not worth it for them to get out and they want to get out. So anytime we go to pull up to a sale and there's like a bunch of kids' toys and it's like, big enough for them to walk around, I let them get out. But if it's just like a couple of items, there's no way I'm going to take them out every single time. I'm just going to run over, look, come back. And so yeah, I was like, I'll just take them to one. So we pull up and there's a guy already there, which again, it was advertised at the last minute. She posted it because you could see what time they posted, and she posted it at like just after or just before midnight, and it was like yard sale tomorrow. So I was like, is that Friday or Saturday? And then the date was for Friday, so you never know. But anytime people post sales that late, I'm always like, all right, are they actually going to be ready? So then I I drive out there, get there, like, a little bit early. This guy's already there, and it's getting closer to 9. It's like 8:50 at this point. So this guy comes over and knocks on my window. So I like get out and start talking to him. And he's like one of those old resellers that's just like you don't want to end up like, you know what I mean? Because he's like, yeah, I got a full-time job and this is just my part-time thing. It's like if you've been doing it for this long and you're still doing a full-time job and you're not doing this like full-time, then you're just doing like, and he's telling me like how he's got like just a barn or garage filled with stuff. And I meet guys like this all the time. And I don't know if they're like telling me this because they like are trying to get me to leave. You know what I mean? They're trying to get better deals because they're like, oh, I'm just here to buy as much stuff as I can. Or what, but this guy's going on and on about how he has like a 32-year-old kid and an 8-year-old. I'm like, this dude was old as fuck too. Like my kid's 5, and the thought of like having a kid the thought of this guy having a kid 3 years older, like blew my fucking mind. This guy was like probably in his 60s. And he's like, I got an 8-year-old. I'm like, what the fuck? And he was definitely divorced because he's like, yeah, I had my 8-year-old this week, that weekend, da, 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 da. And he's like telling me his whole goddamn life story. They always do this. Like when you're waiting in line, I'm just like, I just want stuff to sell for my business. Like I'm cool talking to you if you're just going to have a cool conversation. Like it's always these old guys who are just like sad fucking resellers who you could tell did this the wrong way. You know what I mean? It's like instead of selling stuff and like you just were always looking for like the next fucking the next thing. And he's like, oh, you never know what you could find. And he's just telling me this whole sad story about him, and I'm just like, oh god, I don't want to ever end up like this fucking guy. That's why I have so many yard sales. I'm like, I can't have stuff overflowing. I can't hold on to stuff. Like I have certain things that I'm like, I'll hold on for a little bit. Like I've got a few sealed Legos that I'm like, stuff I can justify holding on to, and then my comics and that stuff. But the comics and cards are really, I'm just overwhelmed with. I don't even know what. I wish I had sold the cards at the height of the pandemic like a fucking smart person would. But I was like, no, I'm going to get them graded and then I'm going to sell them for more. And then like the bubble burst and like, I still have cards that are worth a lot of money, but I could have got a shit ton more money if I just sold them during then. I had some like Kobe's and fucking. I've told the story before about the rapid fire yard sale that we went to where we lived. But anyway, sorry, I get off track when I'm telling these fucking stories. There's no script here. I don't even have stuff written down this week. I don't think. I was gonna do this later in the afternoon, and like I said, I saw an opportunity, I took it, and I've got to make sure that I'm not getting called back. I'm sure I'm going to be getting some fucking calls soon. So I might have to pause and then finish later, which would be annoying. So I'm hoping I can just squeeze in an hour. Just fucking squeeze it in. So anyway, this guy's talking to me about his sad life, and this sad bald fuck. And so I had checked on the Facebook thing because I'm like, dude, I got to fucking figure this out because like this I don't want to wait here if the sale's not starting soon. So I look, and sure enough, it's like they had changed the time. So she had originally posted, and I screenshotted it, and I sent it to a friend who like goes to yard sales to be like, hey, here's a sale this morning. This is the only one I found. And so I had sent the screenshot. So I saw that it had originally said 9. So they changed it to 10. And so anyway, they finally come out. They come out like a couple minutes after 9, so we weren't waiting too long. And like he had already told me he was interested in records, which is like I was there for records, but I saw that she had a $50 price tag on a Sabrina Carpenter autographed album, and like you might get a little bit of money for that. I don't know. I'm sure they cut a deal on it, but I don't know. I just don't believe in the talent of Sabrina Carpenter. I'm sorry. I do like her music, but I'm just like I just don't. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. But anyway, she had a bunch of like Taylor Swift stuff, and I was like, all right, I'll go check out those sweatshirts. And so she had like them priced pretty high, but I was able to cut a deal on them all to where I should make some money. And then I got some like Birkenstocks, and I actually got a Taylor Swift auto. There was like 2 girls, and some of the stuff was one girl, some of the stuff was the other. So they were young, and so then I got a signed Taylor Swift album, and she sent me like the receipt for like the authenticity purposes. And so one of the girls, so I was buying all like the Taylor Swift stuff, and she had said something about how she was 21. She's like, yeah, I'm 21, like I got time to get rid of my stuff, da 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 da. So I'm like, oh Jesus. And so like later she she was asking me something, and she's just like, oh, so did you go to the Eras tour? And like as soon as it came out of her mouth, she like, I must have made a face or something. Like I wasn't trying to, but I kind of probably, and I had my dad shirt on. So like they probably like thought I was just like some fucking weird, like maybe I went with my kids or something. But she was just like, yeah, did you go to the Eras tour? You didn't go to the Eras tour. It was fucking so funny. Seeing her just like at the same time process like who I was. She's like, oh, this fucking old fuck didn't go to the Eras tour. I was like, no, sorry, no, I didn't. I'm gonna sell all this stuff on eBay and hopefully make some money. Or I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm not gonna make any money. I really didn't. I mean, I looked some of it up and I think that I should do okay, but I just got so busy over the weekend that I didn't really have time for anything. So anyway, yeah. So then I got like a Nintendo DS. So I got like a nice little haul. I think I paid like $200 for everything. And then I got a phone call later that afternoon from a lady. So I had met her a couple weeks ago it was actually like right up the street. And she was like, oh, she had some like, vintage t-shirts, nothing I was really interested in. But I asked if they had any more, and she's like, oh, I've got some, I live on the Cape. Well, I can bring them next time I come down. So she calls me Friday night, and she's like, hey, this is so-and-so. I met you at this yard sale. Like, I've got some, concert T-shirts if you're interested, like Rolling Stones, Bruce Springsteen, and then I've got a couple other like travel T-shirts, so I can just bring them all if you're interested. I was like, yeah, sure, I'm interested. Bring them. So I had that scheduled for noon. So I knew that like going out to yard sales that day, I'd have to get back there for noon, and so we drove around for a bit. Did some yard sales, I got to a place that the guy was like going to find a leather jacket to show me or something like that. I'm like, I asked for T-shirts and this is what they fucking come out with, a leather jacket. I'm like, oh no, thank you. I don't always buy leather jackets. I don't often buy them because I just don't know enough about them, and people always want so much money for them that it's like, if it was like $5, sure, maybe. Because it was a cool leather jacket, but I just couldn't justify whatever. I think he wanted a few more bucks than $5. So, but they did have some jewelry, so I got like a cool sterling ring with a stone. I don't know what the stone is. I got to get it tested, and a couple other like decent jewelry pieces. And then I got to another sale that had a bunch of CDs. So I was like, oh, fuck yeah. So it was like all good shit. But I asked the lady right off the bat, I'm like, hey, how much are you asking for your CDs? She's like, $2 a piece. She didn't really seem sure. So I had a feeling. I was like, well, if I may buy a bunch of them, would you give me a good deal? And she goes, yeah, I just want them gone. So I'm like, all right. So I go through them all, pick out some really good ones. Like there's a few that I can sell by themselves that will make more, like all my money back and then some. So it's all like obscure, rock bands, indie rock. It's good stuff. Some heavier stuff. Some, some stuff you don't see all the time. So I got that, and then she was telling me her husband passed away, and he has like she still has all his stuff in the basement. And so she's like, I've got CDs, I've got stuff that like, I just haven't been able to find anybody that wants it. I'm like, I'll come buy it all. Like, so I gave her my card. I'm hoping to get a call back. I might try to track her down. I forget where she was, but, so yeah, that was pretty cool. And then I was like, all right, I'll go and meet this. Well, real quick, I'm going to pause the story because I wanted to talk about something before I forget. So the other day, I think I told you guys I got stung by a fucking something, like a wasp or something. And it hurt for like, hold on, I have some shit stuck in my throat. It hurt for like the rest of the day. It was fucking painful. They were like black and white wasps. I don't know what the fuck they were. Hornets. And so like the few days later, because I didn't see where it came from, I was like, what the fuck? I tried to see like, I just wanted to get the fuck out of there so I didn't get stung again. So then we were driving out like a couple days ago, me and my wife, and we see, because like you couldn't see it from a certain angles. So I see it as I'm driving out. It's a giant nest that's in our bushes. I'm like, I don't know how I'm the only one who's gotten stung by this thing. We pull up next to it just to like take a look at it, and they immediately start fucking flying out and launching themselves into our window. Like, not like a shit ton of them, but like a few of them kept coming up and like banging into the windows. Like, they were fucking aggressive, like hyper aggressive. So I was like, oh fuck. So like I went back this was on Saturday. So like, it had been a week since I got stung. So they'd just been chilling there. And me and my wife ended up going out to date night. My godmother was in town, so she helped my mom watch the kids so we could go out to do a date night, which we never get to do. It's like our first one in a long time. And so yeah, we went out, had a couple drinks, came back to the house, and got some dinner, danced, did the whole date night thing. It was a good time. Came back to the house, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go spray these fucking bees now, because it was the middle of the night, and I didn't want to forget. So I put on a headlamp, and I went out and sprayed the fuck out of them. And then, like, right after I sprayed, I went inside, and it started pouring rain. So I'm pretty sure the poison just, like, completely seeped in there. So they were all done for the next day. I sprayed them again last night just for good measure. But those things were fucking aggressive. Holy shit. Those things were like, I thought those things were going to fucking crawling through the vents and shit, like, make their way in. So, anyway, yeah, we have dance tonight, or gymnastics tonight for my kid, and they want you to like drop your kid off at, sorry, I know I interrupted right before I got to the good stuff, but I figured I could stretch that a little bit further. So my daughter's like of the age now where they're like, yeah, you drop your kid off and like, they wait until they go in. And I'm like, cause we had to sit and wait with our kids, for a while up until that point. And, so I see that they're like, 'cause she tells the parents, like, yeah, you leave your kids here. There's always an adult here. Like, they're supervised, but she expects the parents to watch these kids. Like, they're not our, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if she actually expects that, but like, yeah, this is probably our last event at this dance/gymnastics place. It's just so convenient. Like, it's literally at the end of our street. You can walk there. So it's, but it's the lady who owns it is just like, and we were going to sign our youngest up for toddler dance. And, we did it with our oldest, but like they had the option to opt out for the recital, which was fine. But then they like make your kid feel left out because they like everybody tries on their costumes and they get to do a cool stage rehearsal. So like they stopped opting out kids for that, but it's like well, one, there's a way to do it where like the kids who opt out don't get left out. You know what I mean? And then there's also a way to do it where like you don't have to spend a ridiculous amount of money on something these kids like don't even know if they're gonna do for the rest of their lives. So I don't know. I'm just kind of out on that. I'm sure that's what we're gonna deal with a lot of places. Um, but yeah, like I certainly would never like trust my kid there for like any extended period of time, like any camps or anything like that. Like they just don't supervise these fucking kids. And she's like, yeah, you just leave your kids here, and then like they'll be supervised. Like once they go in, they're fine because they're in there with a teacher. But like when they're just waiting in the lobby, there's no fucking supervision. And they're like, yeah, just drop your kid off and like they'll be supervised. I'm like, dude, I've seen the way these kids act when they're fucking here. Like it's ridiculous. So we're just gonna roll up there, like stroll in right when the class is starting, and she can go in. So, all right, back to the story I was telling. So this lady called me, so I go to meet up with her. I'm done with yard sales for the day. I've got some treasures, and I had just, I didn't want to spend too much money. I didn't know how many T-shirts she had, how much she was going to be asking. So she pulls out the band T-shirts first. I go through those. There's a couple that I'm interested in. Nothing crazy. There's like a pink from 2018. Meh. A couple Y2K, like Bruce Springsteen, Rolling Stones. Again, kind of meh. Nothing crazy. Not like the Rolling Stones shirt I sold a couple weeks ago for like 200. Just like just a meh Y2K shirt. But then she pulled out like the travel shirts, and so she had a couple cool ones, and there was one that was like it was Marilyn Monroe, and she was like, "Oh yeah, this is a cool one. I got this one when I was in California. Da 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 da. It's never been worn, so I'm asking like $10 on that one." So like I made a little pile of the shirts that I wanted, and I got like 5 or 6 of them, I think, for $50, and so the Marilyn Monroe one, I looked up the tag and it said Mosquitohead. And I'm like, I feel like I've heard that name before. But, you never know. Sometimes you think you hear a brand name that's like worth a bunch and you look it up and it's not worth shit. So I'm like, I get home and I look it up, and the value of some of the T-shirts that I'm seeing sold are like crazy. I'm like, dude, this can't be accurate. So I'm like, so I posted on my Instagram just because I'm like, it's a really sick looking shirt, and apparently it's pretty valuable. And so I posted it and had somebody hit me up asking how much, and so I'm like trying to figure out a value, and I just keep like looking and thinking it's worth more and more and more. And yeah, so I look it up, and it's like apparently these T-shirts are some of the like more rare T-shirts available. They were done like by an artist or something like that named Mosquitohead, or that's what he went by. I forget his actual name. And it was like the way that they did the T-shirts, like they used bleach to make the patterns and shit, and then like it has a crazy splatter look. You can see the picture on my Instagram. And so this one, so I reached out to like a couple people on Instagram that are like massive vintage clothing resellers that have more knowledge, just names that popped up in my search when I was doing research and shit. And I sent it in to one guy, and he said, with in his opinion, it's 100% an original. And so I think that they did like ones by the collective, and then they did other ones. So this one's like an original by the actual artist, I think, who came up with the line. That's what I think. So this could be like a crazy, crazy, crazy find. So like I was initially starting, like I was like, oh, maybe start at a few hundred, and then I'm like looking, and like there's some that sold for like $5,000, and some of them are like thrashed. Like some of the ones that were selling for like 17. There was a Marilyn Monroe one that sold for 1,700, but it's not the same one. And then the only ones I could find that were sold were like the ones with the Hanes tag, Like some of them have the Hanes tag, and then they had the actual tag, but they were like, but this one is like the actual original tag. So there's like there's a few people online that collect these. There's just one dude who collects it that I found that's like in Thailand. So I don't know. I thought about reaching out to them, but like I don't know if it's absurd to start at $10,000 on this shirt. And I know that's crazy. But it's a size extra large, which an XL t-shirt, is typically the size you want, So XL t-shirt, original tag. It's never been, like, clearly never been worn. And these shirts, because of the way that they're made, typically they're like made to deteriorate over time because they're made with bleach. This one has no dry rot, no holes, no nothing. Like, it wasn't on a hanger, so it's not, the neck's not all stretched out. And again, it's an original with like the original tag, with the condition and everything. Yeah, I don't think that 10 grand, and again, I don't think I'll get 10 grand. I mean, I might, you never know. But I hope, I definitely think I could sell it for between $5,000 and $8,000, and that will have been my biggest flip to date. My biggest flip to date is like 2,200, and that's yeah. So this would be the biggest one if it goes the way I think it's gonna go. But yeah, Mosquitohead. It's a crazy little, like, there's not a ton of information about it on the internet. Like, there's a couple of Reddit and subreddits about it, and then there's like, a video interview with like the guys who came up with it. But it seems like it's one of the most rare, like, t-shirt finds that you can come across. So my streak for t-shirts is like crazy right now. And if I sell that for a bunch of money, I know I did an episode called Broke Reseller a couple weeks ago, but like, I will no longer be, I don't think I'll be a broke reseller anymore. I know it's not a ton of money, but like, it's enough to like make it so I won't be a broke reseller anymore, which would be dope. So I'm very happy about that find. Gets me from negative to positive, and it's all good. And if you don't know, now you know. I'm not going to do the rest because that would be very problematic. Might give me some more views though. So I don't know. Maybe I'll say it on the Patreon. I'm kidding. So yeah. But yeah, man, a crazy t-shirt. If you haven't taken a look, go take a look at my Instagram and check out that t-shirt. The color on it is nuts. And yeah, that was like, I'm like afraid to touch it. I don't know what to do with it. I want to get rid of it as soon as I can, so nothing happens to it. And yeah, it's not like, I'm afraid to ship it. I'm afraid, like, yeah, I want cash in hand, hand it to somebody. So I joined like a vintage t-shirt group on Facebook, and I'm gonna try to figure out how to sell this thing. So I'm gonna post in a couple things later today, now that I have a little bit more time, because I'm getting this podcast done. I don't know. It's still going. I've got like 20 more minutes. I think I might actually finish this whole podcast. I'm blown away. But yeah, if I do end up selling it for like a ridiculous amount of money too, obviously I'm gonna hit up that lady. She also said she's got more stuff that she wants to sell me, so I definitely am gonna hit her up and be like, hey, I've got some money. But I don't want to say anything until I actually sell it. You know what I mean? I don't want to like be like, hey, you might have some money coming your way. So we'll see what happens. If it ends up selling for a ton of money, I could be way off. Maybe I'm fucking way off, and like, I've been wrong before about the value of things. But like this one, I just think that it's too crazy not to sell for a ton of money. Again, just the condition alone, from everything I've read, it's just that they're never like there usually are some holes, like, you know, it's the material starting to deteriorate because it's just not made for longevity. But this one is immaculate. Like, it's brand new without the tag, essentially. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how much it sells for. I'm hoping it's to somebody with a big, like a massive social media following. They'll put me on and help me grow my following. But like listen, I'll take $500 off if you get me fucking 500 more followers. You know what I mean? $1 a follower. So, and they can't be bots. They have to be actual people who are interested in what I'm doing. So, anyway, yeah, that was that day. And then Sunday I was like, all right, I'm gonna go out and we'll go out to some yard sales. And like, I didn't even check the weather, and as soon as I started driving, I was driving down the street, and all of a sudden out of nowhere it started pouring. So I'm like, oh well, I guess there's no yard sales today. Cool. So yeah, that was it for the weekend. That was my excitement. It ended on Saturday, and the best find I had was, you know, somebody calling me back. And honestly, like, my wife was like, dude, you got to start bringing your cards out with you again. Start bringing your cards out with you. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I keep forgetting. So I had filled up my cards, and I actually handed her my card. And they don't always call you back from the cards, but like, I've had a few people reach out the last couple weeks from my card. Excuse me. So I definitely think that it's helpful to have. So yeah, we went out Saturday night dancing, and there's this place that we go every time, and it's they do, like, you know, they have live music in like this basement, and we got there early too this time, and it's always fucking packed. Like, we try to get there early enough to get a seat at the bar so we can, like, you know, have a home base, but it's always fucking packed. So we just have to like stand there. And so we found a spot that was like not really near people on the dance floor, so we were able to sorry, my sound just sounded like super low. Was I not talking into the mic correctly? Or am I just talking low? No, it's just that I'm talking low. I swear my hearing's fucked up lately. I hope this whole podcast isn't like me mumbling and everybody's struggling to hear me. So yeah, dude, after leaving that fucking basement bar, my ears were like, I'm like, I don't know how any of these old people, it was all old people, and it was so loud in there. I'm like, I don't know how any of these old people have any hearing left. And that sounds like a boomer old person thing to say, but it's true. But yeah, we were just like dancing, and just the amount of people that don't have personal space. And I'm so like, and I hadn't really drank much. I had like maybe 2 drinks throughout the night because I was driving. And this was like late, and then this lady was just like so hammered, and she like completely like bumped into me trying to get out of her chair. And then somebody came up on the dance floor and like pulled her up on the dance floor. It was like some younger chick that, it's a hotel, so I'm assuming they were staying in the hotel. And like, you could just see the younger chick's face like realize, oh shit, she's fucked up, she needs to go home. So they like had to like take her out. She had to get, it was so embarrassing. I'm like, alcohol just makes you so embarrassing. If you drink to that point, it's just like crazy fucking ridiculous. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You're getting dragged out of here? Like, you're fuck, man. You're too old for that. Sunday football, dude. My fantasy team is looking. I mean, I had a ton of picks, so you know, it is what it is. But it's what you do with them, right? So I had the highest score week 1. I was pretty happy about that. I thought I was going to lose, and then Josh Allen scored like 50 points. So I was pretty happy with that. That's all. I'll just say that I won. I'm not going to talk too much about my fantasy football team. But yeah, I want to go back to the sad resellers for a minute because most of them just essentially they just want to tell you that they're a hoarder. Like they always are like, yeah, I have all this stuff that I don't know what to do with, and you know, I know that it's worth something, and it's just like, well, what are you doing? And then they'll be like, this guy was like, yeah, I used to sell online, and I love selling online. I love listing it. I love all this stuff, but I hate packing it up, so I don't do eBay anymore. It's like, really? That's you? That's what you don't? And he's again, this is a guy who's like had a full-time job. It's like, well, if you don't like packing shit up, then yeah, you're not gonna survive doing online sales if you don't like packing up shit. Um, I thought this was funny. I was at a sale and this girl like I was asking about clothes and they always like sometimes people will be like, yeah, I don't think it'll fit you. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not looking for me. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily. I can look at the sizes, and but this girl's like, yeah, this is my boyfriend's. So I asked if they had any clothes. I think that's how it went. I asked if they had any clothes, and she goes, "Oh no." And my boyfriend, his stuff wouldn't fit you because he's scrawny. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, did you just call your boyfriend a pussy and call me jacked? Like, what? Or me fat? But yeah, she's like, he's scrawny. I'm like, I would be incredibly insulted if my wife told another man that I was scrawny. Like your clothes won't fit because he's too petite. Like imagine she said he was petite. Like, oh sorry, my boyfriend's petite. I just couldn't believe that she said that. I was like, man, he wasn't there, but I felt like if he was, I would have been like, hey man, I'm sorry. I don't even want the clothes if it makes you feel any better. But yeah. Um, all right, I'm gonna wrap it up early. I know it's an early one. I wanted to get it in while I had time, and I don't think I'm going to have time to finish up later. So maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I just wanted to try to get it in while I had a few moments. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to talk about. Anything else at all? So Friday. No, I don't think so. I don't really think so. I don't have any other good stories this week that I can just pull out of my ass. Um, my continuance without finding is going all right. I haven't been pulled over yet. Still being a good boy. That dumpster's gone, the one that was up the street. And yeah, I don't really have much else. I could talk about that Mosquitohead t-shirt again. That's like all I've been thinking about, to be honest with you. I just am like, I want to get it out of here. And not in like a bad way. Just like I want somebody to come who's going to be like, because it's such a cool t-shirt and it's got like such a cool history that I want somebody who's going to be like appreciative of it and give me a lot of money and potentially give me some followers. So I don't know. I might have to leverage a good deal here. This might be the craziest deal you've ever seen. I might have to go read what's Donald Trump's book there, The Art of the Deal. I'll go read Art of the Deal and try to come up with something for this. But yeah, man, these old ladies and she was just like, yeah, I don't even remember. Again, I didn't know much about it. I just thought it was a cool shirt. And a lot of times I'm like, you can be way off about a shirt, thinking it's worth something that it's not. I was, when I first when I first looked on eBay, there was a few of them that showed up and it was like all reprints. So I was like, that was the first thing. And the reprints were like selling for like between $30 and $50. So I was like, all right, it's gotta be at least worth a little bit of money. But man, I really think it's gonna be worth a hefty sum of money because it's Marilyn Monroe. That was the other part of it was that it's Marilyn Monroe. There was like a Jimmy Dean one that sold for like $1,200, and like Jimmy Dean is definitely not as popular as Marilyn Monroe. So yeah, if you know anybody who has deep pockets and wants to buy a t-shirt, come let me know, because I am the guy for that right now. I'm definitely the guy for that right now. But yeah, the other t-shirts were cool too. That's the thing. I'm going to make some money on those t-shirts. Like, I'll make my money back on a couple of those t-shirts, and then the rest will be profit. But yeah, man, what a fucking find. What a home run of a find. And it's just like, this old lady just had it in her trunk. She's like, here. She took it out of her trunk. It was like we were doing a deal. Like, I was by the playground, and then she's like, do you really live around here? And I take my kids to the playground we were standing in front of. Like, literally, I'm like, yeah, I take my kids to this park all the time. So she's like, okay, well, when I come back, I'll let you know. She had some like video games or something. So that would be cool if I get some video games. Anyway, all right, I gotta wrap it up because it is school day. I gotta get some stuff done before, and I gotta go get my kid before I start getting yelled at. So it was almost an hour. Next week will be an hour. Maybe I'll do an hour 10. But don't forget, this week, 2 Whatnot streams, Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. You can hit me up, or I've posted the link a bunch of places. But there's a link to sign up and get $15 to spend on the show. So you can hit me up if that's something that you are interested in, or just check the link in my Instagram bio. So yeah, there's 2 shows, Thursday and Friday. Stuffed Animals Thursday, Halloween on Friday. So it should be 2 fun shows. I'm really hoping that they're not a disaster like last week. I'm hoping that was a one-off. And I'm really hoping that we have a packed show for Thursday night to get it popping, so I can tell them, hey, tomorrow night, Halloween, this is Halloween. Sorry, I sound like a fucking parrot when I just said that. But anyway, that's the podcast. My name's Perry Phillips. I don't know. I just fucked up the end of the show. I apologize. I'm really sorry. Anyway, that's the podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe. Tell your friends. And I'll be back again with another episode next week.